right before I speak at any event of any size, I go into the bathroom, I look in the mirror. We're literally on stage in 3 minutes. I look in the mirror and I say, Brian, you've worked hard to get here today. Now go change one life. Every time. You've worked hard to get here, acknowledging myself and my efforts and the people that have helped me get here. Now go change one life, which is ultimately my only goal for ever speaking or training or communicating my message to anyone, just to get through to one person, to help one person have that business that they dream of, to have that happier life that they dream of. And if this can help in any way, then my day is a success. It's a little hack every time. 5 minutes before the speech, come into the bathroom, look in the mirror, say that. For all you small business owners out there, what you're about to see is a really important keynote that I gave just now here in Nashville, Tennessee for the Association of Wedding Gown Specialists. It's just packed. I mean, packed between the keynote and the Q&A. There is so much there about how you can think about your brand, about how you can think about your marketing, about how you can make that smart social spend really last. This is an absolutely imperative 2019 video that you need to watch if you run a small business. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good. I'm really excited to be here. First of all, because from age 16 to age 19, I literally did not listen to anything except for country music. Like every single song I listened to for 3 years was country music. So to be in Nashville is amazing. I just want to thank Kermit. I want to thank the association. I want to thank Ed. I want to thank all the people. How many people have seen me speak before? I see some familiar faces in the audience. Handful of you. Thank you for listening to me again. I'm really, really excited to be here because I think, first of all, I want to start by saying, before I tell you who I am, I want to start by saying I really admire every single person in here. I know how hard it is to run a business. And right now, you know, with social media and with Instagram, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody puts in their Instagram page like that they're an entrepreneur. And then you ask them, well, how many sales did you make last month? They're like, well, I got like 10 new followers. And you're like, but how many sales did you make? And they're like, well, none yet. So the fact that you guys are actually running successful businesses means a lot to me to be able to be here and share some practices with you today. I know we have like an hour-ish, but then we also have a Q&A session afterwards. So we have another, I think, 45 minutes from like 11:15 to 12. So what I'd like to do before I start telling you about who I am and then just jumping into it, because usually I speak for more than an hour, so I'm going to do this as fast as I can and most practically as I can, is if you have any questions at all, please feel free to interrupt me during the presentation. But if you are like, oh, I don't know if I should ask now or if I should ask later, there will be more time for questions later. So I am an entrepreneur. I run a digital marketing and branding and communications company out of New York City. I heard a couple of New Yorkers here in the group. And we work with brands of all sizes. We work with the biggest brands in the world, Credit Suisse, Credit Karma, KPMG, all the way down to solo entrepreneurs and small businesses that have between 2 employees and 100 employees, making anywhere from $100,000 a year to $10 million a year. And so what I'm very, very passionate about, and I get to speak around the world, is I'm very passionate about how to figure out what is your story? How can we use your individual story to build your brand, to get people to know about you, to get people to buy from you after they trust you? So I'm fascinated with the opportunity that we have right now as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, as big business owners, to use this thing that we all have access to literally completely change our businesses. So I see a lot of different age groups in this audience. The good news is that doesn't matter. The good news is all of the gatekeepers that in the past basically were in charge of your fate are completely taken away. In the past, you had to hope and pray that somebody that worked at your local newspaper or a big newspaper or a big radio station or a big TV station, you had to hope and pray that they picked you and that they picked your story, and that's how you ended up going on television. We don't have to do that anymore. We are completely 100% in control of our entire businesses. I think that And I've gotten to do a lot of these talks, especially with the DLI and the Dry Cleaning Association over the last year. I think I've done like 5 or 6 talks. What I'm fascinated by is that 99% of people in the audience, even if you have successful businesses, are leaving huge amounts of money on the table because you don't actually know how to use social media to sell product. And so I am here to make this as fun for you, but as practical for you as I possibly can, while not trying to get confused by the fact that you all could be doing something more that will grow your business. My ultimate goal is to change one business in here today, and it happens every single talk. Every single talk, someone will email me and say, I did that thing you told me, and my revenue grew. I did that thing you told me, and now people are talking about my business in my hometown. So that's kind of a macro level what I'm hoping to get done today. I really, really think that if you are already in business as a business person, you can use your phone and your social media to continue to grow that out. Now, let me start by asking a really quick question. By show of hands, raise your hand if you want to make more money in your business. Raise your hand if you want to make more money in your business. Raise your hand if you want to make more money in your business. Everyone. And for the 3 of you that didn't raise your hand, I want to talk to you afterwards because you need to teach me like how you're doing it, because everyone, I've never heard anyone that doesn't want to make more money in their business. So when you hear the word, and just really quick, when you hear the word branding, what do you think of? Just scream it out at me.
Building your name.
Building your name. What else? What is it?
Value.
Volume.
What value are you going to bring to me if I know your brand?
Value. Love it. What else?
Consistency and image.
Perfect. Now, let me ask you a second question. Right now, what is your biggest frustration about building a social media presence or online marketing or branding? What are some things that really frustrate you about that?
I'm technologically challenged.
Perfect. What else?
Time challenge.
Time. Technology. Time. What else?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. What else? Coming up with content. Great. What else?
How you stand out.
How to stand out. These are fantastic. Anybody else? What about budget? What about how do I know if it works? How do I know how much money I should be putting into it? How do I know if the money I'm putting into it works? Should I hire someone? What happens if the social media marketing agency that I hire is actually really, really bad? How do I know if I'm getting ripped off? How do I know if I'm not getting ripped off? Something that you guys are all probably thinking about. Everyone's thinking, social media, oh, I know somebody. And they're 21 years old and they're using Instagram to go on dates with girls and guys. You know? So these are all things that we all think about all the time. How do we know if our marketing is working? How do we know if our branding is working? In 1 hour, 3 things, and I would suggest you guys take notes because I'm a fast talker and I'm excited about sharing these things with you. And please, please, please ask questions if you don't get something. There's no shame in that whatsoever. There are 3 things that every single person that is sitting in this room right now needs to do in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022 to make sure that you are actually ahead of the curve. I think that with this industry, which is a fascinating industry for me because it's so practical and it's never going to go out of style, ever. You're never going to get your job out automated. Like, you're just not. So in this world, how do one of you, and I do think it can be one of you, and I think it can be one of you in every single city in the world, completely dominate the industry? Like if I was in the wedding gown dry cleaning industry, I would dominate the industry. How would I do it? I would do 3 things. Let's start with number 1. You have to think of yourselves no longer as just a dry cleaning institution, dry cleaning company, dry cleaning business, wedding gown business, and that's it. You have to think of yourself as a dry cleaning business, wedding gown specialist, / media company. You all have to become a media company. And what do I mean by that? You have to become the place where the people in your hometown want to go every single day or every single week to get knowledge, to get information. It can't just be about the 2-for-1 sale on your bridal dress, on your gown. It can no longer be just a sale, 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 sale. You have to start thinking about yourself as a media company. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to break it down for you. Before you can become a media company, you have to provide something of value. Think about what content can I create. What's your name?
Brandon.
Brandon. Where are you from, Brandon?
Jeffersonville with Louisville, Kentucky.
Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. All right, so watch this. I'm going to play with Brandon today. Brandon, you are now officially the case study for our day. I hope that's okay with you. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, good. So, Brandon's from Louisville, Kentucky. How many people live in Louisville, Kentucky?
Maybe 1.2 million.
Perfect. How many people live in Jefferson? What is it, Jeffersonville? Perfect. So, first of all, if I live in Jeffersonville, Kentucky, and my population is 45,000 people, I'm going to make sure that every single one of those 45,000 people knows about me. All right? Now, how do we do this? Louisville, Kentucky. All right. We're going to turn Brandon into a media company. What's the name of your cleaners? What's the name?
New Yale Cleaner.
What is it?
New Yale.
New Yale Cleaners. All right. So now, New Yale Cleaners, which historically was just a brick and mortar cleaning establishment, is now going to turn into a media company. How do we do it? The first thing we have to do is every single one of you has to think about what is the principal pillar of content that you are going to produce for your audience. And we do content in one of three ways. And it's been this way and it'll continue to be this way forever. You produce content by video. You produce content by audio. And you produce content by written. What's your preferred method, Brandon? You like being on video?
No.
But could you do it?
Yeah.
You got a good face. You're a nice guy. You did a Facebook Live? All right. So you can do it. So this is step number one. Notice what Brandon said. I said, you want to do video? Not really. But could you do it? Yeah. That's a really important little nuance that I'm glad that we got to early on. Just because you don't want to do video doesn't mean you can't do video. I'm looking around. There's a lot of nice looking faces in this room. You guys should all do video. All of you. How many people are like, there is absolutely no way. I will literally strangle you right here in front of all my colleagues before I get on video. None. Good. So every one of you needs to start with a principal piece of content. And for what I've seen from my clients and from my own work is if you can do video, no matter how bad you think you are at video, it is the number one best place to start creating content. So, turn ourselves into a media company, and what we're going to do is we're going to use a principal piece of content, right? We're clear on that? We're going to start with video. Since there's not one person in here that's going to strangle me, we're going to all start with video content. Now, what kind of video content should we produce? Give me some examples of some videos that you all could do tomorrow. Why you should preserve your wedding gown.
How to shop for a wedding gown.
How to shop for a wedding gown. What else?
Behind the scenes at the plant.
Yes, behind the scenes at the plant. What else?
How to take care of the wedding gown.
How to take care of a wedding gown. What else?
Questions to ask when you wanting to get your wedding gown.
Great. How to sell your wedding gown.
Travel tip.
Travel tips. So, yes, ma'am.
Faces behind who's actually cleaning your gown.
The employees at the plant. Brilliant. Imagine that. Putting a name and a face in front of your company. What else? So you guys just gave me 8 video topics, all of which are amazing video topics. So when you guys call me or write me in a week and say, dude, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, you just got 8 ideas for free. All of those ideas will work for every single one of your companies, right? Okay, now before we start talking about what we're going to do with that content next, I want to actually challenge you guys to think a little bit differently about the ideas you just gave me. The ideas you just gave me are fantastic ideas, okay? And those are helpful, and those are going to draw business to you, for sure. But what else could we do that would distinguish ourselves? How else can we make ourselves stand apart through our video content? What do you think? There's a couple of different things that, for those of you that have heard me before, know what I'm going to say, but
Make sure you're doing branding on your video content.
good. So, in other words, what?
I have Steve from Colony Dry Cleaners. Today we are going to
Let them know what you're up to. Let them know who you are. That's good. What else? Think bigger. Think bigger, guys and gals. All right, let me break it down for you. This is why I'm here for you. If I'm Brandon, okay? Brandon and the other 7 people that shared ideas got real practical, and this is why you guys are in business, because you're like practical people, right? But what I want to do is I want to dominate. I want to become the only place that anyone thinks about when they're thinking about dry cleaning, and the only place anyone thinks about when they're thinking about where to bring their wedding gown. Like, I don't want there to be a second where anyone thinks about anywhere else, because I could stand up here and say I'm the expert. But unless people buy from people they what? Trust. But that's only half true. Because before I can trust you, I have to know you. And then I have to remember you. And then maybe you have a chance of earning my trust. People buy from people that they know, that they remember, and then that they trust. Right? So how do we get known and remembered and trusted? We have to produce content that's good. And I'm not saying how to travel with a wedding dress is not good. That's great. But I'm saying, how do you get to be such a great brand that people are coming to you because they cannot wait to see what you put out next? Here's where everyone makes a mistake. Everyone thinks that the brand game has to be so closely tied to the actual product. In other words, what I would do if I was Brandon is I would start a show where I interviewed all of the most inspiring leaders of Louisville, Kentucky. I would start a show where I interviewed the local football coach at the high school that's closest to my plant. I would start a show that interviews the local principal, that interviews the local dean, that interviews the firefighter, the police chief, the supervisor, the politician, the entrepreneur, the musician, the new restaurant. And now all of a sudden, Brandon is just becoming the Google of Louisville or of Jeffersonville. What happens on Google? Google has nothing on their homepage. They have a bar. You go to their bar, you write in something, they send you somewhere else. But every single time you want to find something, where do you go? Google. You want to all become the Google of your town. Because Google never has to explain what their brand is. What is Google? That's the place I go to get things. You know? What is your dry cleaner? It's the best. I don't know. It's just like the best one in Louisville. That's where you want people. This guy does this crazy show. Last week he had like the stand-up comedian. He did a thing about this guy's great. And then what happens is they start to associate you with someone that cares about the community. So you guys should all think about the 10 people. And by the way, it doesn't have to be the mayor of your city. If you know the mayor of your city, great. It can be anybody. Because here's what happens. Guess what happens when I interview Ed? Guess what happens when I interview Ed? And Ed is whatever. Ed has 13 followers on Facebook. I'm just making up a number. Ed has 130 followers on Facebook. Guess what Ed does with that interview? He posts that same video on his Facebook. And guess what? Ed also lives in Jeffersonville. And guess what? Ed's 130 followers also live in Jeffersonville. I just got in front of 130 new people, and it costed me 32 minutes of my time. You become the source. Question, Ken.
Give me an example, okay? I'm
Yep.
a dry cleaner in my neighborhood. I go to the principal.
You live in Brooklyn, New York. Yep.
I mean, what am I asking him for? What am I telling him?
Good question. Everyone's worried about.
Same thing with the firefighter. I mean, they're going to look at me like, you're a weirdo, man. Get the frick out of here.
Well, that's because you live in Brooklyn, bro. But not everyone's so mean, you know. I live in Manhattan, so I'm not hating on Brooklyn. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised, and it's all about. I'm glad you asked the question, and it's such a great New York question, because first of all, and I'm being serious, you live in Brooklyn. Like, most of the world does not work like New York. So that, like, I come from Peoria, Illinois. If I went and asked the principal to interview them, they'd be like, oh, amazing, thank you. In Brooklyn, they're like, are you trying to steal my Social Security? Yeah, like, do you want to kill my little kid? Like, what's up? But if you word it correctly, which is, you got to play to people's egos. So if you say, I'm doing a show about our local heroes. I'm doing a show about the people that are making a difference in our community. In a time where there's so much division and hate, what we're trying to do is bring out the good. And we've identified you, and this is, by the way, what you should all use as language when you go to these people. We've identified you as a leader that's making a difference.
So you're going to say we,
our company,
Arkansas
Yep.
dry cleaners have identified
Yep.
you.
Yep, we're doing a series about people that are making a difference in our community, and we've identified you as one of those people. We need 22 minutes of your time. We'll come to you. We'd love to have you come to the shop if you want. We want to ask you 3 basic questions about your involvement in this community and how you and why you care so much and what your motivation for caring so much is and what are you most excited about in this neighborhood. Get them in there. They talk. They do their thing. You do your thing. You put it up. Video content. Does that make sense? That's a huge, huge thing.
So you don't really have to justify that
Not at
you're
all.
in this industry.
Not at all.
To this person,
Not at all.
whatnot.
And that's exactly the right question. You don't have to think about that at all, because what's going to happen is people are going to start to associate you with a part of the community that's important. And then when it comes time for their most important day, by the way, you're not going to convert people tomorrow because you only get married once. Well, sometimes you get married a couple times, but hopefully you're only getting married one time. So you're actually playing this out for 2 different reasons. Number one, that one time that you get married, because now I've been following you for 5 years and you're like a part of me. I go to your site once a week. Now it's my big day. There's no question who I'm buying something from. Or number 2, everybody knows somebody that's getting married. Everybody knows somebody that has a need for a dry cleaner. Everybody. They're going to start, there's a share crazy society. We're sharing everything, right? So that's how this works. Does that make sense? Pretty cool, right? Questions? Yes, sir.
What are the 3 questions you're going to ask them?
Well, you can make those up, but like if I were you, I would say like, why? What are you most excited about in this community? What motivates you to be so involved? And what is one message you want to share with Jeffersonville? But you can make it up, and you don't have to stick to those 3 things. But for the people like to know that their time is going to be respected. So like, if they think they're coming in for a 2-hour interview, the chances of them coming in are very low. I want to come in. I want you to answer 3 simple questions. We'll have you in and out, and then we're going to get this up on our site. And it doesn't have to be connected. Like, Miller, your question, it does not have to be connected. You're just building brand. Now, 2 more quick ideas that I would have for you. And this is something that I said to the Dry Cleaning Establishment Association last time I spoke. I would actually do a program called Don't Hire Me as well. And I would show people the 5 to 10 most common things that happen to their wedding gowns and how they can fix them at home. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to watch. First of all, it's a great title. Don't hire me. Do it yourself. They're going to watch it. They're going to be like, what? Because they're so used to having everyone slam a sale down their throat that they're going to be like, they're already going to instantly trust you more. Then they're going to watch your video. And then if they're anything like me, they're going to try it for about 32 seconds. It's not going to work out. And then guess what? They're going to hire you anyway. Because you've built their trust, because you're not trying to just sell them on something. And you've gotten in front of them. So then that's a whole nother video series that you guys can all do. The third thing that I would do, that if I was in this industry, that would be the most fun for me, is I'd interview the couples. The couples that got married. I'd interview them the day before their wedding, or the week before their wedding, or the month before their wedding, and then I'd interview them every single year for the rest of their lives. And it's just a feel-good series about how love still exists in Jeffersonville, Kentucky. And guess what? People will love that, and people will share that, and your sales will increase, and you never have to sell anything. They want to know that you care. That's what they want to know. It's a service industry. You guys get this better than anyone. It's a service industry. They want to know that you care. And a 2-for-1 deal every second day for 332 days in a row does not show them that you care. Just shows them that you want to sell more. Make sense? Now, back to yes, sir.
Well, I've got a couple questions. How
Sure.
long should a video be?
Good question. So it really depends, and this is the advantage of what I mentioned to you earlier, which was before you had to spend a lot of money on a 30-second spot that you hoped went well. Now with your phone, you can literally create 17 different pieces of content every single week, ranging from 22 seconds long to 22 minutes long, and you can track that on Google Analytics. I watched an Instagram video this morning for 3 seconds and closed it, yet last week I went to a 2.5-hour movie and watched the whole thing. So, this whole thing of like, well, I heard that if it's 5 minutes to 8 minutes, it's like, it depends how good it is. The beauty is we can create it all for free right now on our phone, and then you can test. And you can see of the 17 pieces of content that you put out for free, which one of those 17 pieces of content did well, and then you can advertise more against that. Make sense?
Yeah.
Ed, question? You good? Second question?
So, how often should we post a video?
As often as you can. And that's a good question, and maybe the follow-up question to that is, so I put out 4 to 6 pieces of content a day on every platform, which is a lot of content. And now what you guys might be thinking, which maybe you're thinking is, but won't my audience get overwhelmed? What you don't know, because you don't live in this world like I do, is the organic reach that you have to your audience is so unbelievably small. I mean, you can really only get to 1 to 3. Facebook is really giving you about 1 to 3% organic reach right now, which is nothing. So even if you put out 4 to 5 to 6 pieces of content a day, you're still getting in front of just like a very few percentage of your people. So don't worry about putting out too much content. That's a myth. Most of it's unnecessary. Everyone's overthinking video. Everyone thinks it's like we are living in an age. I mean, think about the most popular TV shows in the world. Taxi, back in the day. Taxi was this wildly successful. Friends, right? These shows, the Apprentice. I mean, all these shows that people are watching, they like them. Why do we like reality TV? We don't. Who said we don't? That's awesome. I love you, man. We don't. We hate it. Why do most of America like reality TV? Because it's real. I think that if you guys create somebody in here, I'm sure of this, from knowing all the dry cleaners, like you guys are some characters, man. And your offices, I bet, are colorful offices. Like you probably have some characters in your office. If you just created a reality TV show every day about what happens in your office and put it out, you might be surprised how well that works. I'm not kidding you. I might do a Facebook Live every day for 10 minutes, just like talking about all the shenanigans that are happening in my office, because people connect with that. Everyone's overthinking content, because here's the thing, and I'm glad you asked this, Ed, and this is something that I think will help a lot of you. So many of you, 99% of you, will do the following thing. You'll make a video, and you'll be like, yes, this guy from New York, Brian, told me to make a video. I made a video. You'll watch the video, and you will decide that the video is not good. You will decide that the video is not good. David decides the video is not good, and therefore he does not put it out. That is absurd. And here's why that is absurd, and that happens all the time. I'm not even judging David. I'm telling you what happens and why it happens and why it's absurd. It's absurd because your perspective about what is a good video has nothing to do with what the market thinks. I put out videos that I think are unbelievably great and they get very little interaction. I put out a video, like I was talking to Oscar the other day, I'm like, don't put this out, this is horrible. And he's like, dude, I'm putting it out. I'm like, don't put it out. And he's like, but this is your theory to just put out content. And I was like, all right, I put it out, but I'm not happy about it. And he puts it out, and it does really, really well. It's your independent, subjective view about what is good for the market makes no sense. So please, please, please put out as much as you can and let the market decide. Half of you in this room are like, oh, that idea about doing like a reality TV show about our office is absurd. No one will ever watch that. Half of you are like, that's a great idea. We should do that. You should all put it out and see and let the market decide what's bad and what's good. Make sense? Now, what do we do next? Media company. So what we do is we take that same video, all right? I'm going to run through this as fast as I can. By the way, Natalia, can we put up my thing? Just because I want to put up my social media for you guys, because you should follow me on social media just to literally steal. Who said earlier, like, I want to steal ideas? I love that. Who said that? That was great. You should steal everything that I'm doing and do it for yourself in your own way. So what we should think about next is how do we now you have a video. You have a 22-minute video interviewing, Brandon, who do you want to interview first?
Talk about someone in my community or
Yeah, someone in your community.
start the mayor, I guess.
All right, going right to the top. I love it. Brandon is an achiever. So Brandon's going to interview the mayor. All right, this is a great first start. Now, Brandon interviews the mayor, and now we have that 22-minute video of the mayor. Now, what do we do with it? Brandon's going to put that up on his new YouTube show, right? You can call whatever you want. And then Brandon is going to open a professional Facebook page. Why professional? Why a professional Facebook page? Because on a person, do you know what a professional Facebook page is, guys? No? So, on Facebook, you have a personal Facebook page, which is probably what all of you have, and then you can do a public figure page. It's like a business page, okay? You all need a business page for your business. Every single one of you needs a business page. Please, 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 tonight, before you go downtown to Tootsie's or wherever you go, please open a professional. It'll take you 3.5 minutes. You need a picture, you need a description, you need a website link, and that's it. And then, is that good? Okay, so thank you. That's fine. This is I'm going to walk you through. All right. So, now, Brandon has this video, puts it up on YouTube. And now Brandon's going to go, hey, that's great. My video's up on YouTube. Now I'm going to put it up on Facebook. What most people will do is once they've opened a professional Facebook page, which you all need to do, they will take a YouTube link and they will put that YouTube link as their profile. Like when they write, hey guys, check out my new video, they'll put a YouTube link there. Bad idea. YouTube and Facebook are competitors. So Facebook will make sure that nobody sees your YouTube link. They'll literally make sure you will not get any interaction on that page. So for the director of marketing at your company, you should now, instead of putting a link for YouTube, this will make a huge difference. You should upload that raw video file, that raw video itself, into Facebook. Can you repeat that? Yeah, absolutely. You know when you're updating your profile on Facebook, what most people do is, hey guys, check out my interview with the mayor here, and then they'll put a link to the YouTube video. That will get demolished by Facebook. No one will ever see that. Instead, say, hey guys, check out my video interviewing the mayor here. Upload the raw video itself to Facebook, not a YouTube link.
They don't like predators.
No, they're trying to dominate. They're trying to kill each other off. You know, like Facebook wants to be the premier video platform. YouTube is currently the premier video platform. They're like, okay, so check it out. Good news. Now Brandon's in 2 places. The way that we become a media company is we're in every place because people consume content differently. So now Brandon has a video on Facebook, a video on YouTube. Now Brandon can also take, and this is why I'm putting up my social stuff, literally just go onto my social. I don't have enough time to walk you through how I do it all today, but literally go through all of my social media and you'll see what I'm doing. I'm going to now take clips from that interview with the mayor. I'm going to take 1-minute clips and I'm going to put those clips on Instagram as well. So now Brandon has a video on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram. I can also take either that full video or clips of that video, and I'm going to put that on LinkedIn as well. Now I'm in 4 places. Now I'm going to rip the audio. I'm going to take the audio from that YouTube or Facebook video, and I'm going to upload it as a podcast. Does anyone here listen to podcasts? Just by show of hands, how many people listen to podcasts? A lot, more than half of the room. For those of you that don't know what a podcast is, it's just a modern day radio show, and it's free. It might be like $8 a month, depending on what platform you use. But for the most part, it's very, very low cost. The advantage of that, of podcasting, which I think every single one of you should have, is that it's passive consumption. I can listen to a podcast while I'm taking a shower, while I'm cooking, while I'm driving my kids to school. I can't watch a YouTube video. Well, maybe I can, but it's not very responsible. It's like watching a YouTube video while you're driving your kid to school. But that is why a podcast is important. Now Brandon's in 5 places. Now, if Brandon's really ambitious, and Brandon loves to write, Brandon can also take that 22-minute interview from the mayor, and he can transcribe it, or someone on the team can transcribe it into an article. What I learned interviewing the mayor of Jeffersonville. And now all of a sudden, what happens? I put that up on my website, and I put that up on LinkedIn as well. Now, with one 22-minute interview with the mayor of Jeffersonville, I am in 7 different places. And that is how you become a media company. Because you are providing your audience with the opportunity to consume your content in the way that they want to, wherever they want to, whenever they want to. You no longer have to tune in at 6:30 p.m. Central Time to watch the interview. And that is how this thing that we have is completely changing the game for small businesses. Makes sense? Questions? Yes, sir.
List the 7 again.
Yeah, sure. So it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, podcast, LinkedIn, your blog/website, transcribe into an article, LinkedIn again, into an article. Twitter, I don't really use Twitter that much, but I think it's all of it works if you have the time. Yes.
Good. Oh, this is great. But we're all busy.
I understand.
So I'll tell you what happens with me is, yes, people that help me with social media, you need to do a video on this. Okay. And then
it doesn't get done.
It just.
And I understand that, and I'm very empathetic to that point. So there's a couple different things I'll say, and this comment comes up every time I talk. So, number 1, there are a couple different things. If you're truly busy every single minute of the day, from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., whatever it is that you leave, if you're truly busy, and I'm not saying that you are or you're not, but what I find is most people are really busy, but they're actually doing things that are not growing their business. So you have a couple different options. You can either find ways to do less of the things that are not growing your business and do more of this, right? Or you can find someone else to do it for you. Here's the thing that I really want to warn all of you against. Most of you will come up to me afterwards or are thinking right now and say, I have a nephew or a cousin or a kid at the school or whatever that will do social media for me. And that's fine. The problem with that is if you don't know what you're doing in social media, you'll have no way of monitoring if what they're doing is right. So I think, assuming you're not going to retire in the next year or two, which you might be, I don't know. But a lot of people here are definitely not retiring in the next year or two. No, he asked the question, man. I'm just answering.
That's when I'll have time.
Yeah. I will start my social media campaign when I'm retired. Assuming you're not retiring, this is really, really important. I mean, this is marketing. So, yes, you don't have time. Okay, I get that. But you either find the time or find someone else to do it for you. Now, a lot of this stuff that I'm saying to you can be outsourced to an extent. What I think you have to do is you either have to decide, do I want to be the face of it, like Brandon, or do I want, maybe you want to have a young, 22-year-old person that's going to be in the business for the next 40 years. Maybe you want to have your son be the face of the company. I don't know, but that's a decision you guys have to make. And then whatever decision you make, go with it. So if you're like, I don't have time and I'm not going to do it, then I would say it's better to do something at a 6 or a 7 than to do nothing at a 10. And so you have to be okay with the fact that, well, I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to be super hard on her when she's only a 6 out of 10 at doing this. You can't come down on her at being a 6 if you're not doing it at all. So that's the decision you have to make. But I will say, if you can find even 30 minutes a day to figure out how to do some of this stuff, it will be worth it for you.
What I find is maybe it's 30 minutes time, but there's 2 or 3 hours of trying to get ready and getting your thoughts together and doing it. And 30 minutes, maybe you get better after
you do.
time.
You do. That reduces. And that, I felt that too at the beginning. I've been doing this. I've had my business now for 6.5 years. I've been doing this full time, like this whole thing that I'm teaching you guys for the last 2. And the first 6 months was brutal. Brutal. And I don't, I enjoy, I love people and I love this. I don't actually even like seeing myself on camera. So it takes some adjusting. But I'm not romantic about the fact that I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing it because it's good for my business. And separating those two things, I think, are really important. 2 or 3 hours becomes 20 minutes. 20 minutes becomes 2 minutes. And then then it's a part of your day. So the last thing I'll say about your point, which is a good one, is try to find a way to make this as seamless as possible for you. That's why I was joking, not really joking. That's what I was saying about the whole thing of setting up a camera in your office and just letting people do their thing. That's just content. Having a customer come in that's happy with what you've done for them and asking them if they'll give you a quick 1 to 2 minute thing. That's 1 to 2 minutes, and now you have a piece of content. Think about how you can quickly. Okay, I'll give you a great example. Right before this talk, I'm in the bathroom. Right, I'm getting ready for the talk. Before I speak at every conference or event, I go into the bathroom 5 minutes before. I look in the mirror. I look at myself in the mirror, and I say, Brian, you've worked hard to get here. Now go change one life. That's my ritual. That's my tradition every time. So I said to Oscar, come with me. Come here. And I literally did that in the bathroom. He filmed it, and that's going to be a piece of content. And that could be the only thing I put up all day. And that took me 0 extra minutes. So start thinking about, how can you let your personality come out without a whole lot of extra work? Because if it feels like it's going to be 2, 3, 4 hours, you're never going to do it. Right? And that's not just you, that's everybody. Cool? All right, question? Yeah, sure.
If you have a marketing company, use them.
If you say it again?
If you have a marketing company to do your marketing, can you use them too?
Yeah, as long as they know, as long as if they were sitting here today, they would say, oh yeah, what he's saying makes sense. Because most marketing companies are still too worried about how are your Google Analytics and how are your Google, how many hits are you getting on. Most people are still thinking about things in an antiquated way. We should still be doing TV commercials, but no one's watching TV commercials. We should still, I'm trying to tell you what's working for me right now in a modern day marketing landscape on a digital device for as little of a budget as possible. That's why I'm here to start smart social spending, right? That's the title of today's talk. Now, let's get into that, okay? How do we know it's working? So, now we have content everywhere, right? And that's part 1, media company. Part 2, and this is important. This is what we're going to think of as intent-based branding and sales. Because this is all nice and it's all great, but how do we know if it's working? How do we know if we make sales from it? How do we know how to sell? And in order to sell something, right, all of this content is fabulous, but if nobody's watching it, then what's it good for? This is where Facebook and Instagram marketing and advertising is something that we all need to do. Because it's so incredibly powerful right now, and it's so incredibly underpriced. Google AdWords are so much more expensive than Facebook. And by show of hands, how many people in here have a Facebook professional page right now? Don't lie, please. And how many people do not? Okay, so professional page, not personal, professional. All right, of the people that have a Facebook professional page, how many of you guys are running Facebook ads? Like half of the people that have it. Okay, and for the people that are running Facebook ads, raise your hands if they're working for you. No, great. Sometimes.
I define working.
Well, you define working. It's your
Does
campaign.
it produce revenue?
Okay, how are you measuring that?
Well, that's the problem.
But I'm asking you, how would you measure that?
The only way to measure it is to have some kind of an offer or something that I know of.
Yeah.
You gotta click here and get this.
Or you have them come in and they say something, right?
Yeah, and we got multiple stores and we got multiple people and the word never gets back. I mean,
Okay.
You know, there's the logistics of getting that information.
Well, so this is where I think, and this is interesting because this is kind of a theme that keeps popping up. This is where it would probably be a good idea for us. I was running an industry like you guys. I would make sure that the person at the front desk is super trained to get that information. And you're laughing because maybe that's like not happening.
I got, 25
Young.
people that I got to get super trained. I'm sorry, it's not easy.
Well,
I haven't got a training department. It's just practical limitations. to this
Yeah,
business.
I get it. So how many people feel that way?
Well, I have one other comment though.
Yeah, sure.
We require some of the point of sale software, you can force it, so they have
You
to
can
ask
force
the
it,
customer.
but they don't
However,
always get it. They just push a button.
well, but also I have found that a client, when they come to us, they've actually seen us in 6 different places.
That's amazing.
So it's like, well, it's the last one they thought of, or the last
that's-
one,
but that's
and
great.
So you don't really know which one, whether it's Google or it's their friend or whether it's.
Well, and that's a good problem to have, by the way. Like that they've seen you in 6 different places. Good work. Like if you're getting in front of people in 6 different places, you're already mastering what I'm telling you to do. So you're in a good place. So there's a couple different ways of thinking through Facebook and Instagram, right? There's the way that you just described it, which is exactly how I think about it, right? And then there's a more like concentrated practicality approach to it, and both work. And here's how you can do both of them. The branding piece, you're going to know how many people that you reach based on the numbers in the video. The practical piece, so right now Facebook allows you to do a call to action. So let's just play it out. Brandon puts up the video of the mayor, right? Puts it up on Facebook as a video. Puts that thing up, it's 22 minutes long, and we're going to get some organic reach. Let's say we get 400 views, okay? Brandon sees it's going pretty well. It's got 12 likes, it's been shared 3 times, it got posted 6 hours ago, has a dozen comments. Oh, love this, great. Brandon's going to decide that's performing well enough to what we're going to call boost post. All right? Now, if what I'm saying to you right now does not make sense, it's okay, but you should go home and figure out how to run a basic Facebook advertisement. I wish I had more time to walk you through it. I don't, but here's what you do. You hit boost post. Okay? There's going to be a little button that says boost post. Hit that button. Now, they're going to let you select an audience of people that you want this video to get in front of. Now, I want you to understand how crazy this is. Brandon can now run that ad in front of 18 to 45-year-olds. You get to select how old you want the audience to be. That voted Democrat, let's say your mayor is Democrat, that live within a 5-mile radius of your shop, that make more than $100,000 a year, and that are male or female. Maybe you want to focus on females, because that's going to be who buys your wedding dress services.
Is this the same thing as a Facebook ad?
This is a Facebook ad, exactly. Now, do you guys understand? And then you're going to pay, Brandon's going to pay $7, and that's going to get in front of 1,200 people that are between 18 to 45, voted Democrat, that live within 5 miles, that are women, that make $100,000 a year. That's crazy. You pay $1,000 for a TV commercial, and you have no idea who's watching. $7 is now in front of 1,200 relevant people.
Just a waiver on that. So I did that,
Yep.
and I boosted it post. You can narrow it down, choose whatever criteria you want. And then I can't remember what else I clicked. I ended up, when I looked at my credit card, I was charged $500.
Yeah, that's something went wrong. I mean, that's not normal.
So, and
I'm
then you
sorry to hear
can't
that.
get in touch with
Yeah.
anybody on Facebook.
I'm sorry to hear that, but that's
So,
very rarely happens. I mean, I run these campaigns constantly all day long. That doesn't happen. I'm sorry that happened to you.
yeah.
Just be careful. You might have selected a
That's why I'm
budget
saying
that
it's
wasn't
a big waiver.
definitely make sure that what you want to spend is what you're putting in your ad spend. So that is amazing. Now, That's just where it starts. Now let me give you a couple of different tips. If you've run an ad like that before and it hasn't worked for two different reasons. Number one, your content is no good, and that you just continue to get better at and get better at and get better at. Number two, the first 3 seconds of your video is not captivating enough. So if I'm branded, and this is a really important point, if I'm branded, I'm going to literally start this video by saying, hey, for all my ladies that are in Jeffersonville, Kentucky, that are between, that you're in your 30s, your 40s, and you are a Democrat, I think you're going to love this video. And then you run the video. And they're going to be like, he's talking to me. And how do you know that you're talking to 30 to 40-year-old women that live in Jeffersonville that vote Democrat? Because that's who you target on Facebook. It's crazy. You can know people that are having birthdays. For my 21-year-olds in Jeffersonville this month for your birthday, if you refer somebody in to get cleaning done at our place, I'm sending you to Tootsie's for free for your 21st birthday. Just make sure that they use the code 21 Facebook. That's how you know, Dave. That's how you know who's using your stuff.
Do that again, please.
Yeah. So let's just say you want to run an ad. You want to talk to 21-year-olds that just turned 21 in your town, and you want them to refer you or bring you somebody. I'm just making this up, right? But you can start by saying, if you're 21 years old and you live in Louisville, Kentucky, if you send in one person, or if you bring in your dry cleaning this month, I'm sending you to Tootsie's for a free beer on us. Just use the code FacebookBeer21 when you walk in our door. That's how you'll know if it works. Everyone is completely overcomplicating how this stuff works. I did a conference in the Dominican Republic last year, and I said, if you are an entrepreneur in the Dominican Republic and you want to make more money doing what you love, this is the conference for you. I spent $50 and I sold the conference out for $2,000 just on that one ad. And I targeted entrepreneurs in Santo Domingo that lived in a 10-mile radius that were between 18 and 35 years old. Just try it. And here's the beautiful thing that I'm trying to convince all of you is you just do that on your phone. It doesn't cost you any money. You spend $14 on an ad and you'll know in 1 week if it worked or not. Other questions? Thoughts?
What this reminds me of?
I cannot wait to hear what's next.
In the 80s, remember when they had the unknown comic and they had the bag over their head and blah, 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 that. Remember when that was going and all the people used to sit around in the room and they would come up with these really outstanding commercials back then?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it reminds me of, sitting in a room with like some younger people, not my age group.
But so do you. You don't even need kids. You can do it.
Oh, I know I can do it, but sometimes my brain doesn't like. I need to have. I'm to the point in my life now that I need to have someone that I have to play with a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, because it's like, well, show me what you know how to do with that. And then it's like, well, I was thinking, and I may take an old idea that's like 30 years old and go, well, blah blah blah, and then they go, oh, and then they do like they put their spin on it.
I love that. And here's the cool thing, right? I love that example. The thing that I'm most excited about is that in the 80s, you had to hire some BS PR firm, and you had to pay them $10,000 to put together a 30-second video for you that you hoped worked, and that they actually don't care at all if it worked or not. They already got your $10,000.
Right.
All they care about is winning an award or like making sure that you have enough impressions. Now what's exciting to me is that you, with a young person sitting in a room, come up with an idea. Tonight, you can go out to Tootsie's. You can run that example of what I just said for Tootsie's for the 21-year-old tonight on your phone for $0. Run a $32 ad tomorrow and see if more than 3 people come in with a $10, $13 order, and you just made money on your ad. And you don't have to worry, like no one cares about your business as much as you do. Ever, never, ever. Your employees, the PR firm you hire, nobody. And so when you get good at what I'm saying to you right now for free, and then you can distribute that properly, you become unstoppable. And then when some 21-year-old says to you like, hey, I'm doing this thing, you're like, okay, well, do this, this, and this. And they're like, whoa, you know more about social media than I do. And it's not that complicated. The 3 things that I think are the most important thing about running video content on social media are, number 1, it's authentic and true to yourself. Don't try to don't be in some Ferrari if you drive a Toyota. People will feel that and they will not trust you anymore. Number 2, the beginning of the video has to be hyper targeted to the people that you want to talk to. And number 3, you have to run ads to those same people. And then if I'm going to add a 4th thing, and this, I think, I've seen this over and over and over again, and this is something you have to look up as well, which is you can retarget video content. Meaning, Brandon puts up his video about the mayor. He runs it to people that are between 22 and 45 that voted Democrat. In 1 week, when that promotion ends, Brandon is going to know exactly who watched 10, 25, 50, 75, 100% of that video. Now, if someone watches 100% of a 22-minute video, you've already won them over. They already like you. So now when it comes time to run a special, and this is where I want to get the sales part in, which is why retargeting becomes really important. Let's say now you've done 7 different videos over the last 3 months. You will know how many people watch how much of those videos. And when it comes time, and by the way, I love selling things. I think that you should sell things. And when it comes time to sell something, guess who you run that ad to? The people that watched 50 to 75 to 100% of your videos. Hey guys, hope you've enjoyed the videos I've been putting out for you for the last 3 months. I know that a lot of engagement has been happening. Just want to let you know that this weekend only, we're having a 2-for-1 sale. Or this weekend only, we're doing a buy one, get one free. Or this weekend only, we're doing whatever you want to be doing. And then you run that video to all the people that have watched your other videos. You've already built their trust. They already know who you are. It's not the first time they've heard from you. And then what's going to happen is they get guilted into buying from you. I'm not kidding you. This happens to me all the time. People write me. I put out so much free content. People write me and they're like, dude, what can I buy from you? I'm not kidding you. What can I buy from you? And I'm like, oh, nothing right now. I'm pretty good right now, but I'll let you know if I need something. That is branding and sales in 2019. And the tools exist, guys and gals. Tools exist to be able to do that. Questions? Yes.
So you said to make it authentic and easy, just use your phone. So you're not saying to get, you have to have a special microphone, you have to have special lenses. I mean,
it's not important. I mean, I have a whole team, right? So, and people look at me like, oh, you have a whole team. I started with a $300 camera. I invested in some nice microphones, and I shot everything myself for 3 years. So go out and buy a $300 camera. Go out and buy a $100, $200 mic, or the iPhone actually has some really good mics right now that are $35. Just do a little bit of Amazon searching. Cheap. You'll see all the reviews on there, but don't overcomplicate it. That's my recurring theme.
So
it just depends. It just depends on the content. It depends on the video could be 22 seconds. The video at Tootsie's will be 22 seconds long. Hey guys, if you're turning 21 this month, congratulations. The video with the mayor might be 22 minutes. Just depends. And then test it out. Back to the point of no one's limiting you from testing a million different pieces of content. Just test it out. Make sense?
So I was hoping that an iPhone would be sufficient, but that's not.
It will.
Yeah?
Yep. To start, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Get into your groove. If you like it and it's going really well, then maybe you invest some more. And another thing is, you'd be surprised how many young people want to create videos. So if you live in a college town, figure out how to put up an ad to try and get an intern for the semester or the summer that wants to come in and shoot videos. Now, you can't say, come in and shoot videos of my dry cleaner establishment. You have to make it sound exciting to them because they're 22 and they want to do cool things. So we're going to do a mini series about the best leaders in our town. It'll be a great networking opportunity for you. You'll be the one creating all the content. You'll be the one at all the events. and you'll be the one that's creating this mini-series. Are you interested? It's all about the wording. It's all about the messaging. Make sense? Do you have another question? No. Okay. So I know that we're almost out of time. Kermit, are we out of time? I see you moving towards me. Sorry about your fall. I'm still waiting for Kermit to invite me to his Christmas tree plantation. So a couple things, and I'll close out, and then we have a Q&A thing at 11:15. But a couple things to think about. Number one, I know I rushed through a whole lot of information. Hope it was helpful. If you follow all of my social media, you'll see exactly how I'm doing what I just told you to do. And that's my email if you want to get in touch for questions, if you want to do any sort of training, consultation, speaking, whatever. I'm open to doing any of that. And then the second thing I'll say to you is this. I know what I said sounds pretty out there to some of you, and that's okay. And I know I saw about half of the room really like getting it and like they're about to start implementing this stuff. What I would say is this. If there's no way you're going to be across 7 different platforms, then start with 1, or start with 2, or start with 3. Do the best that you can, and don't judge yourself that you're not doing all of the things that I'm doing, because I've been practicing this now for 6 years. Start somewhere. But the other thing I would say is really, really, really take some time to understand how to run Facebook and Instagram ads. Because that platform at $7 to get in front of 1,000 people is so unbelievably cheap and so unbelievably accurate and good that you will see some movement. And the last thing I'll say to you, I said it at the beginning of the talk, this will take some time. This will take some time. So have some patience and don't think that just because you tried one thing and it didn't work, that this thing doesn't work. I've seen it. It is driving a tremendous amount of sales to my business and a tremendous amount of sales to my client's business. And the reason that I'm extremely excited to be up in front of you today, and the reason that I always love saying yes to these events, is because I'm not just like a motivational speaker that read some article in Forbes.com and now all of a sudden I'm telling you that it's true. I'm running an entire business based on these premises that are working. So I'm telling you that I would not stand up here in front of you and tell you to do something if I did not see it working so well. And so I hope that you guys try it. I hope that you continue to iterate and do well and fail and iterate and do well and fail. And congratulations on your businesses, and I really hope that this was useful to you today. Thank you. Thanks, man. I think that right now we also do want to connect with successful people. I think that we want role models. I think we want mentors, especially when we think about social media. So I think that what would be powerful for you to consider, and again, this is totally, it's all personal, and your intent is so good that I know whatever you decide to do with this is going to be the right move. But what if you talked about how you're in the Caribbean today, but for the first 16 years of your business, you never took one vacation? Or for the first 10 years of your business, you never left your neighborhood because you were working all the time on building the team and building. So what I'm trying to say to you is, humility is a great thing, but I also wouldn't sacrifice the ability to inspire other people that after 30 years of working your butt off in an industry that you believe in, that sometimes it's okay to go to the Caribbean. And I think that might connect people to you even more. It's not like, hey, here I am in Nashville, like I'm so cool. It's like, here's what I did for the first 10 years and now I'm here enjoying it. So I think that as long as, what I'm trying to say with this social media stuff is, as long as it's honest and authentic, then that's cool. I just know people that will have their mom pay for them to go to the Dominican Republic to take the photo on the white sand beach, be like, yo, I'm a remote digital nomad living my international dream. And I'm like, your mom bought your trip, bro. Like, you're not a remote entrepreneur. You are a trust fund kid. So just call yourself a trust fund kid. I'd have more respect for you if you're like, yo, I'm a trust fund kid on the beach, you know? So that's what I'm trying to say. But again, everyone has their own way of doing it, and if that feels right for you, then that's great. That whole connection to your audience is important.
But anymore, it's like, that's what everybody likes to do, is spend their money on plane tickets and what's cool and that kind of thing. So, you know, I mean, I haven't taken the step either and told anybody where I'm at, but I was surprised, even like just at the hairdresser was like, I'll be on Nashville. It's like, oh my God, have fun. And I was like, everybody said that, and I was thinking, I would have never expected that kind of response, you know.
Well, I think too, since you're here to enhance your business and to be able to provide different kinds of offerings for your clients, that's another way to tell that story. I'm not in Nashville like getting drunk and listening to country music for 3 days. I'm actually here with people that are the best in my industry to learn what's working so I can steal it from them, which is brilliant, by the way. I'm a big fan of like stealing everything I can from people. And then I look forward to kind of reporting to you what I'm learning along the journey, because then they're like, oh, that's cool. My dry cleaner is in Nashville now. People actually want to talk about people. It's kind of strange. Like, we are obsessed with talking about people. If you like listen to what most people talk about, it's people. And so give them something to talk about. It's like, hey, did you hear about John? Did you know that John? Hey, did you hear that this guy died? And that it's like people are almost always talking about people. So give them something exciting to talk about when it comes to your own name. You know? Yes.
Yeah, Brian, listening to your entire talk and the question and answer.
That's okay.
Listening to your entire talk and the question and answer session, I can't help but think that we're separated by age in how we think. Okay? Jan just said, you know, she was brought up by her mom, you know, don't ever tell anybody what you're doing, because, you know, back then it created jealousy. But now with millennials, it's not jealousy, it's a good thing. So it's changing my mindset to think more the way millennials are thinking today is kind of an obvious thing to me.
That's cool. And the other thing I would tell you is, I appreciate that insight. The other thing I would tell you is, you know, everybody wants to think that social media is a millennial thing. And the number one most active user on Facebook right now is a 45 to 65-year-old woman. They're just living on, like, they're literally living on Facebook. They're just like on Facebook all day long. 45 to 65-year-old women.
I mean, to my way of thinking, I look at some of the postings. I mean, it's like, the way my mind works, I really don't give a damn about that.
That, my friend, is the exact right statement. And I don't need to know about your rice and beans either. And you're totally 100% right. With the comma that it is how people consume content. And so you are smart for identifying the fact that you don't care about it, but it doesn't mean that's the way things are. Just like, I don't think this video is good, but it doesn't mean all of you won't. It's a big unlock. Yes? We'll come to you in a second. Can we pass the mic, please?
Well, I'm busted now because we have just sent to Instagram, Greg's in my picture with you, Brian. And it's because we want everybody to know. I already looked at your website. I knew about the scholarship you got before you even mentioned it.
Thank you.
Which, by the way, that's an excellent thing they're doing.
Thank you very much.
I don't personally use Facebook. No one ever knows.
She uses my Facebook.
Maybe I'll get on Facebook.
Your husband is like, thank God. He actually, the only reason I was invited to come to this conference was to get you on Facebook. So we have now officially accomplished. Yeah. That's right. No, your husband secretly paid me, just so you know. I saw a couple of hands up. Yeah. That was an amazing moment, by the way. Thank you for that.
You made the comment that the woman, 45 to 55-year-old, are the
65.
60.
Yep, 45 to 65.
Are on social media, Facebook. That's really, and it's a woman who we should be targeting, because it's the mother of the bride who's going to pay for the cleaning and preservation. Because not all the millennials even think that it's the moms
Totally.
that do. So in my case, I feel like I get a lot of questions or phone calls from the mother. So that's who, if they're on that Facebook and Instagram, we need to target mom and figure out how mom's going to
Yep. And you know what? I just thought of an idea, and this is why I love the Q&A part. I really do think this is the most valuable part of the whole thing. I would make that my video content. I'd interview the mom about, how do you feel about your daughter getting married? What was it like when you got married? How did you feel? I do a whole show about I would call it Mother of the Bride. Brought to you by the name of your cleaners. And that's it. And then you run those ads against mothers. That's the other big thing about the creative content on Facebook. The reason that a lot of content is not working on Facebook is because if you're trying to sell an 18-year-old African American a sneaker, but the person you're using in your commercial is a 32-year-old white dude, you're going to lose it. If you're trying to sell a 23-year-old girl, if you're trying to sell a 46-year-old mom to buy the gown for her 23-year-old daughter, you don't want it to be a 23-year-old daughter in the video, because it's not my daughter. I don't connect with it. But I do connect with the other 46-year-old woman because I know how she feels.
Right in front of my computer screen. So it's a quote that someone gave me, and it says, "It took 38 years before 50 million people gained access to radios. It took television 13 years to earn that audience of that size. It took Instagram a year and a half."
Yeah, I mean, we, including me, who spends a tremendous amount of time thinking about these platforms, we have just no idea how powerful this stuff is. All of us are underestimating the power that we have in the palms of our hand with these phones, all of us. And the reason that I'm desperate for you guys to hear me, even if it's like, ugh, this seems like a lot of work, is it all is a lot of work. But it's the only way to do it. And so I just think that 3 years from now, one of you is going to write me and say, I mean, I'm already getting this 6 months later from people, like, the thing that you told me to do with this completely changed my business. And by the way, that would make me the happiest person in the world, is if you guys start to do something that I said today and it works, if you just email me and said, hey, that thing that you told me changed my business, or I just made $5,000 more a month, or I just made $600 more a month, because that for me is what continues to drive my ability to do these things. And like I said, and then I'll close with this because I see Kermit standing here now, which is like usually that usually ends up like sliding across if I talk too long. I just think that we have a massive opportunity right now. And as business owners, I mean, the fact that we are business owners and the fact that we run our own enterprises is such a gift. And so many people want that freedom, and so many people want to be in charge of their own future. And we have the opportunity. And if you're here today, if you could pay for your flight, and you can pay for a hotel, you can pay for the association fees, you're obviously doing well. You're obviously doing well enough. And my goal is to just continuously help you to do better, because there's so much good that we can do with the money that we make. And I do think that, for me, that's the most exciting thing. So I really appreciate your time. Like I said at the very beginning of this talk, I have immense respect for every single one of you that are actually putting in the hard work, that have taken the risk to be business owners, that are treating your employees well, that are taking care of your customers. And the most important thing I think that I'll leave you with is this day, for so many people, is the most important day of their whole lives. It's the thing that they've dreamt about for their entire lives. It's the thing that they've heard their mom and dad talk about for their entire lives. And if you haven't figured out how to work that into your messaging, then I would strongly look at why you're doing the work that you're doing. I would strongly think about the people that have inspired you to the work that you're doing, and to connect with people on that emotional level of like, we don't look at you as a gown. We look at you as the most important day of your whole life. Then I think that starts to shift a little bit in the way that you guys think through marketing and branding and the way that people look at you. So I really appreciate the time that we've had together today. Please be in touch and have a fantastic weekend.